Hello everyone, and welcome to stage 4 of the design processes. If you've been with me from the very beginning, you guys have watched this series all the way from stage 1 and I've taken you to the various stages. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and you should definitely check out the series. I've made things very easy for everyone and curated this series in a playlist, so I'd highly recommend that you catch up with us and go through stages 1, 2, 3, and then you can come back and watch this video. So for everyone who has been with me from the very beginning, thank you so much for your support and beautiful comments. And yeah, without further ado, let us begin stage 4. So if we look at the breakdown for stage 4, the first one is specifications. That deals with the specifications for the whole project. Second element is review, which is again something that I do not really like because it deals with the budget. But obviously this is very important. So we review the budget and we review the project timeline. Tender documentation, we basically prepare the drawings for tendering purposes, which leads quite nicely into the next point, which is obtaining these tender documents from the various subcontractors. And once we've got these, we will evaluate these against certain things like budget and availability, because subcontractors also have other projects on the go, so they might not be able to meet our deadlines. And then the last one is just preparing the contract documentation. So I'm just going to pull apart some of the points that I've mentioned in the breakdown, and I will reintroduce my dream room as a case study, obviously. But I'm mainly going to speak about stage 4 from my experience from other projects and break it down so that it makes a little bit more sense. Like I've mentioned before, and I'll keep mentioning, that the reason why I mention renovations a lot as well is because we deal with a lot of renovations these days. Not many people are building, unfortunately, because of the economy. So we're dealing with a lot of renovations. So I'll always mention the fact that when we look at a renovation, we look at the scale. So we always consider the scale and we consider the scope of the renovation. Larger projects will generally go through this tender process, and even small projects as well. I highly recommend you going through this tender process. And I'm just going to highlight why it's important to do so. Okay, so with the tender process, obviously at this point now of the project, we would have specified our materials. And that goes from specifying all your hard finishes, so your floors and all your walls, all the way down to your joinery. So once we've done that, we put it into a big document. So this leads perfectly well with design development, because design development was that fat document that your client kind of basically signs and says that they basically giving you the okay that the design is completely sound and that they love it, and we're not really going to deviate from that document that much. And we also draw up all our details at this point, because this really helps with the tender process. The more information you have for your subcontractors or your tenderers, the better information you'll receive in terms of your budget. So at this stage as well, with our larger projects and even with our smaller projects, you'll see, because I've already started vlogging, by the way, started vlogging, so I'm excited about that. But currently at the moment, I'm working on a project and I'm really starting to realize, it's a small project, but the fact that we are doing quite a few extensions to this renovation, I'm realizing how important it is to have a QS. Like, you might not think you need one because your project might be quite a small scale project in the grand scheme of things, but the QS is honestly there to manage and monitor budget, and also to manage and monitor various costs that the contractor is getting or that subcontractors are getting, just to make sure that we are keeping within the budget. So in the tender process, a QS is also quite important because we will send him these documents. Okay, I keep talking about documents. They're basically just drawings of everything that you will be constructing. And so we send it to either the QS to send it out, or we send it out to various subcontractors. So for instance, I love talking about joinery because I deal with joinery a lot. We would send out the whole joinery package with the details included to, let's say, 3 or 4 joiners of either our choice, or if the client recommends a joiner that they want to use, then would obviously send that to them as well. And then a week or two later, it usually takes about 2 weeks, we will get back the pricing for the joinery. And the reason we do this is because we want to get the best pricing for the project. We would obviously get someone who comes in within the budget or someone a little bit higher or a bit lower. We are very transparent with the clients. We give them all the quotes, and we also really recommend, and we do this always, we do our homework. And if, let's say, we have been recommended a joiner by the client, we will go to the joiner's factory or would go and see anything that this joiner has constructed, because we need to be able to make sure that they will be able to produce the quality that our clients want. And we also need to be happy with the quality of work and the level of work and detailing that this joiner can do. So the tendering process is basically twofold. It's one, budget, definitely. And then two, it's just to make sure that you're happy with the quality of work you'll get at the end. So once we've gone through that process, we encourage the clients as well to do their due diligence and go and have a look at the subcontractor's work. And then they can decide, like, if they find that the more expensive subcontractor or tenderer is better in terms of quality and they're willing to spend just that little extra to get that quality that they're looking for, then they would choose that person knowing that they are over budget. Just a very great process because it allows us to assess the budget and assess the quality at the same time. And it's also great because then clients can also tell us exactly where they are willing to spend a little bit more money. So if they're like, they definitely want their kitchen to be the showstopper, and even if they are like 10,000 Rand over budget, they'd rather take that 10,000 Rand and take it out of another budget, which is why QS is also very important, because they are good at reshuffling money, because they also put money in hidden places that we don't know, just so that we are always kind of within budget, even if we do end up going over budget in some areas. It's just a great, oh my word, there's banging. I'm so sorry, guys. I hope you can't hear that. Okay, I think they stopped. Oh, okay, they're done. Okay, I'm just gonna talk over this because I don't know how long this drilling is planned for. Didn't get a note about it, but anyways. So yeah, I just want to reiterate how important it is to go through this tender process. And it cycled back to the dream room because it was such a small project. I didn't go through the process of tendering, for instance, my joinery with multiple joiners to get the best price, to get the best quality, to also get people who can do what I was looking for. So the tender process really helps you to sift through and find the people that will be able to do what you want. So because I didn't do the tender process, it meant that I ended up having to compromise on certain things. Like, for instance, my built-in cupboards. I really wanted my built-in cupboards to be a bronze mirror door with a custom-made metal handle. The joiner that we found was, okay, fine, it got priced and was bloody expensive. And we only went to one joiner and we were like, okay, that's very expensive. It's a wrap. Let's try and make it a little bit more cost-effective. And I think also wasn't willing to do the metal work for the handle, wasn't willing to even try and like source a metal company to do it for us. And at that stage, I was also very new to the game. It was like 2 years of working and I wasn't that confident with like talking to a lot of people and like being very stern about what I wanted. So that just meant that I changed my bronze mirrored doors and I just did a Duco spray door and the handle became a custom timber handle. And then another instance where I compromised. So I was meant to get a sliding door for my bathroom and the detail that I wanted was a concealed sliding track, top hung. The ceiling guy at the time as well just like saw the detail and he wasn't really willing to do it or undertake that kind of level of detail. And because I was just so tired and like, I don't know, like demotivated, like, you know, you only as good as your subcontractors what I believe. If they can't execute the detail that you want, then you're just not going to get the desired look that you want. So it's so important to choose the right contractors, the right subcontractors to fulfill the job you want. So yeah, I just canned the idea of that sliding door because I really didn't want to have an exposed track. Another issue that I had with my ceiling was because my room is curved, I wanted a curtain recess which followed the curve at my windows. And that ceiling guy as well, same ceiling guy, he just said no. He just was like, he can't do it because it's a curve and he's not comfortable with the fact that, you know, he won't be able to get a perfectly curved edge and it's not going to look that neat. So couldn't do that detail. We couldn't even do a shadow detail because he wasn't confident about doing a shadow detail on curves. I basically just had to have my ceiling end at my wall and hide the joints with a cornice. I just really had to compromise, and I think if I did this project now or even a year or 2 years ago, I would have been a little bit more stern about these things, and I would have done a lot of my own homework and really looked high and low for subcontractors to do these things for us. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I was learning, I was also quite young, and I'm just glad that I'm in a position now that I will not compromise on something if I want it to be done a specific way. And I've just really learned, even through putting this together, that how important this tender process is. It just saves you a lot of heartache in the long run. It's also a really good time to evaluate your budget, because you don't want to find yourself on site and being way over budget and not having gone through the tender process well enough, and then that just means like you're going to be delayed. So that basically covers everything that we deal with in stage 4. I hope that was quite informative. It's so tricky to go through these stages because, like I said, I didn't go through step by step when I was doing my bedroom. However, I just want everyone to know the stages that we undertake. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new, like I said, please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.